Okay, let's unpack this. We all make mistakes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just part of being human. But what if a story, maybe seen through a really sharp analysis, could give us a kind of shortcut, a way to understand the real impact, the ripples those mistakes cause? Today, we're doing just that, taking a deep dive into a source that reviews a really popular novel, The Three Mistakes of My Life, by Chetan Bhagat.
That's right. And it's not just some light read. It came out in 2008, technically young adult fiction, but it's set, right in the middle of the social and political scene in Gujarat, India. Our source, this review we're looking at, it goes beyond just plot summary. It really digs into the core of the story. It breaks down what it sees as the main character's, biggest mistakes. And our mission today for you is to pull out those key insights so you understand not just the story itself, but maybe some bigger universal lessons about, life's pitfalls.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit more. You've got these three friends at the heart of it all. There's Govind Patel, he's our narrator, very ambitious, focused on business, on making it big. Then there's Ishan, or Ish. He's the cricket guy, super passionate, used to play district level. Cricket is his life. And the third is Omi. He comes from a religious background, his dad's a priest, brings a different vibe to the group.
Right. And together they have this dream. They decide to open a sports shop, a joint venture. But what's really interesting, and our source points this out, is Ish. Alongside the shop, he gets really involved in mentoring this young kid, Ali. Talented cricketer, but poor.
Yeah, that adds a nice layer.
It does. And crucially, this whole story isn't happening in a bubble. It's unfolding against some major real-world events in Gujarat. Things like a huge earthquake, the Godar train incident, and the communal riots that followed. Really sensitive, difficult times.
Wow, yeah. That definitely adds complexity. These aren't just personal struggles then.
Exactly. It layers this huge socio-political reality onto their personal dreams and, their mistakes.
Okay, so with that backdrop, let's get into it. The core of this deep dive, those three big mistakes our source identifies from the novel. As we go through them, I want you, the listener, to think about what they might show us about, human nature, how we make decisions, where should we start? Mistake number one.
Let's do it. So our source points right away to mistake one, Govind's greed and haste. The review basically frames it like this. Govind is so driven by ambition, by wanting quick profits.
That business focus you mentioned.
Exactly. So he makes the call to move their sports shop. They relocate to this new mall. But here's the thing. The mall is in an area known to be vulnerable, prone to earthquakes.
Oh boy, you can see where this is going.
You can. And the consequence, as the source spells out, is just devastatingly predictable. A major earthquake hits the area, and it just destroys everything. Everything they built, gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And the analysis in the review is pretty sharp here. It suggests Govind's ambition blinded him. He prioritized that quick potential gain over looking at the real hard facts about the risks, the environmental danger.
So it wasn't just bad luck, it was a bad decision fueled by greed.
That's how the source puts it. The big lesson it emphasizes is that ignoring facts, getting swept up in greed, it can lead to huge losses, like total loss in their case. It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How often do we maybe overlook crucial info because we want that quick win?
It's a powerful point, a very stark reminder about, I guess, looking before you leap, especially when money's involved. Okay, so that's the first mistake, tied to ambition and external factors. But the next one, our source highlights, feels much more personal, right? Mistake two, Govind's affair with Vidya.
Yes, this one cuts deeper on a personal level. What happens is Govind, he secretly falls for Vidya.
Who is Ish's sister, his best friend's sister.
A best friend's sister.
Yeah.
And he pursues a relationship with her, keeping it hidden from Ish. Our source calls this a major betrayal, a violation of that trust between friends.
And the consequences.
When Ish finds out, it's bad. He completely distances himself from Govind. It creates this huge tension, this massive rift in their friendship.
I can only imagine. That's tough.
Right. And what's interesting is how the review describes this as Govind's most personal mistake. It's about crossing those friendship boundaries. The message seems pretty clear. Personal desires, if you chase them without respecting relationships and loyalty, can cause profound damage.
Yeah, that balance between what you want personally and the bonds you have with people. It's tricky.
It really is. It highlights how fragile trust can be, easily broken.
Absolutely. The emotional fallout from that sounds immense. Okay, so we've had greed and haste, personal betrayal.
Yeah.
What's the third mistake our source unpacks?
Mistake 3. Inaction during riots. And this one, according to the review, is maybe the most impactful, the most tragic, especially given that real-world context we talked about.
Inaction. So Not doing something wrong, but failing to do something right.
Precisely. Our source points out this nuance. During the communal riots, Govind and Omi fail to act decisively or correctly. Specifically, Omi, who gets influenced by his uncle, by the extremist rhetoric that's flying around, he makes choices or fails to act in ways that put Ollie's life, that young cricketer, in serious danger.
Oh no, not Ollie.
Yeah. And the consequence here, the review stresses this, is the most heartbreaking moment in the book. It leads directly to Omi's death. That's described as the emotional peak, the real tragedy of the story.
Wow. Okay. That's heavy.
It is. And the review ties this to a broader lesson. It emphasizes that failing to act, or maybe more specifically, not opposing wrong when you see it when it matters, that itself is a massive mistake. The message comes through really powerfully. It's vital to stand up against social pressure, against religious extremism, even when it's hard, even when it feels like you're going against your own group.
That really forces you to think about responsibility, doesn't it? What's our obligation to step in, even when it's difficult or unpopular?
Exactly. It raises that fundamental question about moral courage in the face of social turmoil.
Okay, so those three mistakes paint a pretty intense picture of their journey. But the source also gives an overall take on the novel itself, right? Not just the mistakes.
Yes, it offers a balanced view. On the plus side, the review praises the book's writing style. Simple, accessible, makes it really good for younger readers to connect with.
That's important for getting these themes across.
Definitely. And it also highlights the blend in the story. You've got adventure, emotion, politics, religion, sports. It weaves them together really well, apparently. Creates a rich narrative.
And the characters.
The review says they come across as realistic. They have strengths, but also very clear weaknesses. They feel like real flawed people, which makes them relatable.
Okay, so mostly positive points there. But you said balanced. Were there criticisms too?
Yeah, it wasn't all praise. The review does mention a few things for you, the learner, to consider. It suggests some events might feel a bit overly dramatic, maybe stretching belief a little for some readers, almost theatrical.
A bit like a movie plot sometimes.
Kind of, yeah, that's one point. Another is that the character development for some, like Omi, might feel a bit limited. You don't get as deep into his thinking or motivations as maybe you'd want.
Okay, so maybe prioritizing plot over deep character dives for everyone.
Possibly. And the ending. The review notes that some might find it a little abrupt or maybe too neat. A bit filmy was the word used.
Meaning, like it wraps up too perfectly or quickly.
Yeah, like a convenient, maybe slightly dramatic resolution, almost like a Bollywood ending, perhaps. So the review gives you both sides, which is useful.
Right, provides a more critical lens. But despite those points, what's the main takeaway from the source about the book's message?
The core message that the review distills is actually really powerful and I think universal. It's this: we all make mistakes in life, but learning from them and moving forward is most important. And that's not just for Govind or Ish or Omi in the book. That's for everyone, right? It applies to all of us.
That really is the heart of it, isn't it? Using stories to see these universal truths. So wrapping up the main discussion then, our source paints the three mistakes of my life as, well, emotional, definitely thought-provoking. It shows young people trying to juggle dreams with some really tough social realities, gets into friendship, relationships, ethics, leaves you with a lot to chew on.
For sure. And overall, the source gives it a solid rating, 4 out of 5 stars. Recommends it as a worthwhile read.
Okay, so as we finish up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to consider.
Yeah, think about this. If these fictional characters can learn such big, sometimes painful lessons from their mistakes dealing with ambition, love, social pressure, what does that mean for us? How can understanding their fictional struggles, these pitfalls in the narrative, maybe help us navigate our own complex choices, especially when we face similar things like, greed, loyalty tests, or pressure from the crowd?
It's a great question, because every choice, every action, even choosing not to act, it all has consequences, doesn't it? The three mistakes of my life, as seen through our source, isn't just a story. It kind of holds up a mirror, reflects these universal challenges we all face, and really highlights the importance of thinking critically, reflecting honestly in our own lives. So what stands out to you from this deep dive, something to think about as you go forward?